is to Commonwealth Elementary at 8:30. We're doing 24 backpacks to students there, 28 backpacks to Golden Hill at 10:30, and then the other schools will be taking them to the offices and giving them to the principals and having them distribute them, because it's one day and I have only so much time with 104 backpacks. So we'll do what we can. So if you see us at the school, definitely greet us and know that your kids are going to be getting some special goodies for the holidays.
Okay, Joe, do you have an interest in going first or last on this?
I can go last.
Okay.
Thanks,
no
Chris.
problem. Lisa Hayren?
I have some pass-outs.
Incidentally, I want to let folks that have not made public comments before know that we can ask informational questions of you, but we cannot get into a back and forth dialogue, much less a debate about topics. So if you ask us, our opinion on something, that's probably going to be a challenge, because the law prevents us from doing that, because it's not on the agenda, because the whole public has the right to know if we're going to be discussing a certain topic. But public comments is you telling us, so. Thanks.
Great, my name is Lisa Hayward, and I'm here today to speak about SB 277, the law that Governor Brown.
Your mic isn't producing much, maybe you need to be closer.
Is that better?
It's better.
Thank you.
My name is Lisa Hayward, I'm here to talk about SB 277 today. We're hoping to open up some discussion about how each district is going to implement this law. We've been to several school districts that kind of don't know how they're going to implement it, and they're not really informing the parents that opt out of certain vaccine schedules or have alternative schedules about the personal relief exemptions that need to be filed by December 31st in order for them to be grandfathered in. So I think there's a lot of families that are going to be displaced from January. So we'd like to start having some discussions with each district on how they plan to implement it and how they plan to help these parents navigate through this law. We've also been working with the Orange County Board of Education. The idea behind this law is that by implementing it, that we're going to be free from disease at school. The parents that opt out or have an alternative vaccine schedule, they're not going to randomly now go out and vaccinate their children. They have very strong ethic and moral beliefs, and they've done a lot of research about it. Many of them have vaccine-injured children. They will all still go to Disneyland, and they will all still go to Chuck E. Cheese. So the law that they put in place can never do what it promises to do. And I think that taking away parental rights on medical treatment for their children is a stretch. And I think that the districts now need to be in a position to help these parents navigate through it. If the districts and the Board of Education are at this point unsure how to do that, they can't help the parents. So I think it's really important that we start opening up discussions on how to navigate through it. And so I would like to let you know that I will be requesting that we have something put on agenda or a special meeting on this. I think that we would like at this time to ask each district to put in an extension or request an exemption or an extension from the Board of Education on implementing this law to give families and the districts time to navigate through it properly. And I think that it's important that the board members, the districts, the Board of Education work with families together to produce the best result that we can. Is that my bell? Thank you.
Lisa, are you a parent in our district?
I'm in Orange.
Okay, thank you.
No, that's all right. Trustee Sheridan has a good idea. For those in the audience who may not be aware of what SB 277 is now, I want to say I've not read what she's handed me, so I tend to be leery of the bias of anything that I'm going to read, but What it says is Dr. Richard Pan, a pediatrician and senator representing Sacramento, Senator Ben Allen, the former board president of Santa Monica Malibu Unified School District, and Assembly member Lorena Gonzalez, who represents San Diego, have introduced, it's been passed at this point, Senate Bill 277 to repeal the personal belief exemption that currently allows parents to opt their child out of the vaccine in our schools. Just by way of explanation, prior to the passing of that law, a parent could fill out a form and just simply ask for a personal exemption for vaccines. Now, I believe, and I've got a couple people fairly expert on this, it requires a doctor to make a statement that a child has a medical need to not get these vaccines. So it has become more difficult to opt out of exempting one's child from vaccinations. By the way, to the extent that it might be helpful to those that are going to speak, I just made the dynamic decision that I'm going to exercise my right as board president at a future, either at a separate meeting or at a future meeting, to hold an SB 277 hearing so that we can have back and forth dialogue. You can ask anything you'd like, but if everybody's going to get up and ask for something like that, I will be putting something like that on a future agenda, be it a special meeting or be it a regular meeting, so that we have an ability to listen and respond. So with that, I'm going to call up Julie Stockstill?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us this evening. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Julie Stockstill. I am a parent in the Fullerton School District. I have two kids. One just started a transitional kindergarten at Richmond Elementary, and I also have a 1-year-old. I am also a Fullerton resident my entire life. I am a graduate of the public school system here in Fullerton. Went to Fern Drive, Golden Hill, Nicholas, as well as Fullerton High School, and then even decided to go to Cal State Fullerton. So, needless to say, I'm a fan of Fullerton. I love Fullerton, and why we're here tonight to talk about SB 277 is that this law takes away our parental rights to choose medical decisions for our kids. With my choices for my family, I do some vaccines, but I don't do all of them. I don't know if you guys have seen the vaccination schedule. I don't know if you guys have children, but I also have some handouts. I do have copies of the vaccine schedule. I think it's really important for you to consider looking at that. I also wanted to spend my 3 minutes talking about the personal belief exemption. The way this law is written, and we're kind of running out of time now, is that the personal belief exemption can be put on file with the school district, and they will be grandfathered in until the next grade span. What that means is that my child in transitional kindergarten will now be grandfathered in until 6th grade with just this one personal belief exemption I have on file. That way, 2nd graders, 3rd graders, if the parent puts a personal belief exemption on file now before December 31st, they will be grandfathered in until they reach the next grade span, which is 7th grade to 12th grade. So I would really like to request, I get a lot of voicemails on my phone from Richmond Elementary as well as this district. It would be very easy to be able to put a message out to every parent to educate them on this right that they have. This window that they have, it's ending. I mean, really, they need to do it before winter break, because once winter break hits, then, December 31st rolls around, and their right to be able to put these on file is over. So I would really like to request that that gets done, and these parents are informed of their right, because A lot of parents don't realize that SB 277 even passed. So sad. People are still learning. Then they're going to understand that it's already passed, and they're going to have no way to continue to make the best decisions that they want to for their families. They'll be forced to do things that they're comfortable with. Like I said, there's certain vaccines, well, Thank you. I
Go
really
ahead,
appreciate it.
you can take another 30 seconds.
Sure.
around that.
So, I would love to give you all, a copy of the law in detail. I also have a, list of the actual steps that parents need to take to put the personal belief exemption on file, as well as a copy of the actual personal belief exemption. So, I'll go ahead and give that to you. Thank you for your time.
If you'd like, you can actually put it in the minutes. You have-
If you submit that law, we will put the law itself, the document that you generated in the minutes
Great.
for public
Great.
viewing. Yeah. So go ahead and give that if you like.
Yep.
Or you could just email Carmen and say, here's what I want to post
Yeah,
in the
I
minutes.
would
As long as it's what you talked about. My good friend Zonia Townsend.
Good evening. I am Sonia Townsend, and I've been a resident of Fullerton over 25 years. I've raised my children here, I have 4 of them. I am a mother and a grandmother, and I actually just got over not too long ago, so I just dashed on here, but I just kind of wanted to chime in as the seriousness of this, and I come not only as a personal individual, but also representing California Nurses for Ethical Standards, which is a nonprofit nursing organization. With this, I just wanted to bring to your attention that I actually have a schedule of what Julie is talking about, and basically in 1983, we had 24 doses, and in 2016 we were going to have 69 doses of vaccinations to our children, and I think that's really a great deal. And I don't think that the public, I don't feel that the parents know this. There's also one thing that really alarms me is that I didn't know a lot about this until this year, until actually I had some colleagues of mine bring it to my attention that are in our organization. And in 1986, the pharmaceutical manufacturers producing the vaccines were free from all liability. That means, and we know that there has been over $3.3 billion paid out in vaccine injuries and deaths. And we know that the pharmaceuticals, the industry is one of the world's largest trillion-dollar industry, and that their lobbyists in Washington are #1 in DC and state capitals, and they give over $2.6 billion to our politicians. That's twice as much as the oil and gas companies do to our political leaders. And I feel that the people need to know that there are strings attached. They no longer, this quote-unquote pharmaceutical companies are not at our best interest. Why would they put an open-ended clause after 69 doses to whatever the state of California seems necessary? Now I just found out this week, even now it's mandatory for our veterans to receive mandatory vaccinations. Preschool workers, where is it going to stop? What happened to the Constitution, our constitutional and our personal rights? I feel that we need to address that. We need to, just because they have passed the law, and I know this is out of your jurisdiction, but I think that as responsible professionals, as we all are, we need to objectively look at this information, and we need to really be the parents' advocates, because I know that that's one of the reasons all of you ran for this office, is because you want to be the parents' advocate in the educational system. So I really would like you to, and I appreciate, Chris, that you are going to place that on the schedule, on the agenda, so we can actually learn more. And I think that, we're all logical individuals. I think that when we're just presented with this information, we'll make really clear and educated decisions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sonia. Yeah, I think I'm going to be careful because I'm not going to give my opinion in this context.
Nor should you go back and forth, because you've
I'm not
already
going back and
stated
forth. I'm
that
making a
you're not going.
rhetorical statement, so I'm not going back and forth. But it does make sense that we would discuss publicly how we intend to implement this complex and controversial law. So I am remiss that I have not agendized this prior to this, to be completely honest. So moving on, Jennifer Neese.
Good evening. My name is is Jennifer Neese, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for just allowing us to have a few minutes, and I don't even think I'll take my full 3 minutes. I simply wanted to be a voice and say I know that I personally am representing lots and lots of parents that I'm in contact with on a daily basis. I'm a third generation Fullerton school. I'm raising the third generation. My parents graduated through Fullerton schools. I graduated through Fullerton schools. My kids are graduating now through Fullerton schools. And I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being a great school system that I have leaned on and trusted in all of these years. I now have a freshman in high school. It's hard to believe. And I just wanted to say that really we are depending on being able to trust our school board continually as SB 277. I know that you have to implement the law, and I know that there's ways to implement the law that are more conservative, and I just wanted to be a voice and put it out there and say we are really depending on our Fullerton School Board to be conservative in the implementation of this law, and wanted to encourage you to do what Julie was saying and empower the parents, because this really is about parents and parent choice and parents having a say in their children's education and in their health care. And parents need to be empowered, and it would be the perfect opportunity to be the civil servants that we are. So I just want to say thank you and put that out there.
Lisa Wissink?
Leah Wissink.
Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't write this, did you?
No, I didn't.
Because this says Lisa. Thanks.
That's okay. Thank you very much for having me. I'm a Fullerton resident. I have 3 children. A 3rd grader who will be 9 in 2 weeks. A kindergartner who's 5, and a 2-year-old little girl who is my bread and butter. I was also not, this is a first for me. I always just kind of done, gone with the flow. You know, my kids go to Laguna, and I'm so happy there. The kids are flourishing, they've had wonderful teachers. I couldn't be happier. Until this law came about. And just to tell you a personal story of something that happened, was that my kindergartner, after submitting all of the paperwork so that way she could go to kindergarten, submitting her proof of vaccinations and everything, I got a letter 2 weeks after she started saying that she's missing the 3rd dose of hepatitis B vaccination. And that if she didn't get that hepatitis B vaccination, that 3rd dose, that she would be excluded from school on a certain date. Excluded, for one. I mean, I have her vaccination record here. She's had, if I didn't count that one vaccine, she would have had 26 injections and vaccines. 26. It's right here. I'm a little nervous. I didn't know I was speaking today until like an hour ago. So here's her list of vaccinations. I am not anti-vaccine. But the thought that my child could possibly be missing one, or that perhaps I didn't agree with one vaccine, and then my child will not be able to attend school? How is that right? How is that right as me being a parent to say, you know what? I agree with all of these vaccinations, but this one, you know, I'm a little worried about. I don't want to have my child have that vaccine. And to not be able as a parent to make that choice for my child, I feel like that is totally interfering with my freedom, with my rights as a parent, and it's as if I don't mean anything. I donate money to the school, I participate, I volunteer in my children's classrooms. My children are my #1 priority. And to think that my decisions are being second-guessed and that my child would be excluded by not receiving this one vaccine is horrendous to me. The thought is terrifying. And it is so terrifying that I would rather homeschool my 3 children than be under that tyranny. Because that's what it is. It is tyranny. And I'm college educated, I could be fine vaccinating, or You know, I've been to college, got my degree, I can easily, very well educate my children. And so I would do that, I will do that if that's what I have to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
You realize this is a state law, this isn't.
You know, I understand. I actually also went to Sacramento and did that as well and spoke there. Thank you.
Play fast and loose, so that's one of the best people we ever had. Darlene Rosetta Alpiza? No? Is there a Darlene? Oh, there we go, come on, Darlene. Is she the little one or the big one?
Good evening, and thank you for listening. My name is Darlene Rosetti Alpiza. Both my husband and I went to the Fullerton School District system. I have a master's degree in human development, specializing in early childhood education, and my undergrad specializes in research methodology. So I do a lot of research on all of this regarding SB 277. This is my daughter. She's Cassidy Rose. She's 2.5 years old, and at 5 months, I let her get a polio shot. That ended up making her sick for over a year. She had rashes all over her body. She ended up with a long list of allergies, but more than that, it was blood issues, liver issues, GI issues, gallbladder issues. And it took 10 doctors about a year before they came up with a suggestion, you know, I want you to try to detox her and just hold off on the vaccines, because I was continuing to vaccinate her. That was when she started to get better. She's 2.5 years old now. She looks very healthy, and she's not sick. She still has a lot of allergies, and I have a fear of vaccinating her again. Her allergist did suggest that maybe I should continue to delay it, but at her last checkup, her pediatrician said she doesn't agree with that recommendation, and I should vaccinate her because she doesn't get anaphylaxis from it. So I have conflicting doctors, and where does that lead me? Does she get a medical exemption or not? I don't know. I don't know where that will lead her. Mind you, her pediatrician did give me a refill prescription for an EpiPen, at the same time telling me, since she doesn't get anaphylaxis, I should vaccinate her. So even the doctors, it's what guidelines are they following? They're following the CDC pink guide without looking at the individual children. And so politicians are saying vaccines are safe for the overwhelming majority. That was the letter that I got from Barbara Boxer. But she's not the overwhelming majority. And these are the children that it's going to affect. So by the time she's ready to go to kindergarten, every day that she's not sick and she's denied a fair and public education, that's not fair for my child. I want her to be able to go to the same schools that I went to. And that's what I would like all of you to consider. And I thank you again for your time, because I do want her to be provided school. Thank you.
I have an informational question for staff. Do we happen to know, is one licensed medical doctor's recommendation that a child does not need vaccination sufficient for that waiver?
Yes.
We just need something
Yes.
in writing from a doctor.
So if you have 10 doctors and one says, they say no, then you should be good to go.
Right now, she doesn't need a medical exemption because she's not in school. I was working in early childhood. I had to quit my job to be able to take care of my daughter because she still has severe allergies and she likes to eat food. I'm afraid to put her in a school because she'll want to eat her friend's food, and literally that's the case. Her pediatrician that recommended delaying vaccinating her or waiting specifically said, I cannot label her vaccine injured because I would lose my license. I can only list that these are the symptoms and the fact that when you stop vaccinating her, her symptoms got better. So she herself even said she's afraid to waiver it for her because she's afraid of losing her medical license as well. This is a problem that many parents face that are on that border of their child didn't die or get anaphylaxis from it, but they're not healthy enough to receive the vaccines. This is a lot of the reason why people get personal belief exemptions. I have a friend whose child has seizures, and it was the same thing. Seizures are not recommended by the CDC Pink Book to grant a medical exemption, and these parents have the same problem. It's either let their child get seizures or give them the shot so that their child can go to school.
Thank you, darling. Very
Thank
much.
you.
Joseph Imbriano.
And then this one.
How do I do it?
That's the Zoom right there.
Okay, and do I just click it once, or is it already going? Oh, okay.
My name is Joe Briano. I had 3 children in the Fullerton School District, but because of the wireless exposure concern, I took them out. And I'm still a Fullerton resident, and I still plan on staying involved with this district. My tax money directly supports the district in its endeavors. I come here tonight to bring up the other part of the agenda that I have always alleged in my previous meetings with you. You know, when I was a child, my folks' parents lived on the East Coast. We traveled extensively across the United States by car, by train, as well as by aircraft. 95% of the United States is rural open space, and I've traveled extensively abroad, and I could probably say that number is higher in other countries. We are under an illusion that we are overpopulated. That illusion is parlayed in all your textbooks, and it is repeated. It is the mantra in the media. And the media, by the way, is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the pharmaceutical industry. You turn on your TV, you can't get enough of the drug side effects for Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, whatever else you want to watch. I want to talk tonight about tetanus, and I want to talk tonight about why it's necessary for school enrollment. This law is a tyrannical edict. It is unnecessary. Not one school-age child was affected by the Disneyland measles epidemic, not one. And from my understanding of research, the strain that the MMR vaccine is designed to fight was not even the strain that was present in that outbreak. The tetanus vaccine is required for junior high entry. That is when children are in their pubescent years. That is when they're developing their reproductive capabilities. The tetanus toxoid happens to be the ideal carrier for the beta subunit of HCG, which is a sterilant that has been found in vaccines in Africa and other parts of the world. This is not something you can look up on Snopes and discredit. The bottom line is the anti-morbidity from tetanus was somewhere in the range of 500 to 600 people a year in the United States in the 1900s, when smallpox was running 20 to 30,000. Tetanus is a non-communicable disease that enters the human body by direct puncture wounds in an anaerobic environment when there isn't any oxygen present in deep tissue. And the spores are found in the fecal matter of sick animals. We don't have children running barefoot on the farm with fecal matter on rusty nails, but yet we're immunizing children for a vaccine that is not a communicable disease, had really relatively low annual morbidity. It makes no sense to have this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, and I'm of the strong opinion, if not completely convinced, that they have set up the framework for the sterilization of our children, and this is just another piece in the puzzle. There's no reason to be mandating tetanus. Tetanus does not belong in the immunization battery. This stinks to high heaven. They've been caught spiking these vaccines. Paul Walker was murdered, I believe, over this. That is why his car was blown up. He was about to expose what was going on in the Philippines. When we get to the point where we require multiple administrations of the DTP vaccine, which is what they're whooping up right now as a whooping cough concern, that is the vehicle.
Joe's another minute enough.
I could talk for hours, but then I won't take that much time. This vaccination issue is very serious. I knew 20 years ago what was going on with these things. I used to have a shortwave radio I listened to, and you would not believe some of the things that were put out on the airwaves that were not owned by these corporations. We are in dire trouble. The special ed epidemic is off the charts. I grew up in Garden Grove on a street full of 30 kids, and I knew kids for half a mile around. There wasn't any autistic children back then. It wasn't because of detection. Something's going on with our children. Vaccines are a serious problem. And you folks, you kind of have your hands tied, but I will tell you that the way that law is written is there is no teeth in it in terms of ramifications to the district. There are no penalties or jail time associated with not implementing it. I would strongly urge this to be the location of where the Rosa Parks moment occurs on this issue, and I'm hoping that someone will take the lead on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Are there any other public comments on any non-agendized item? We now have a report for Robert Whistler. Oh, I'm sorry.